play. Okay, we're good. We're
All
gonna
right.
need to speak close to the thing.
Closer?
Yeah.
Should I raise this up or
I don't think it goes up. It's just
doesn't
like more
a
like.
little closer?
Yeah, try to
Is that
just
good?
go like this. You will listen to that.
Uh-huh.
It sounds better when we're really close. If you
Yeah,
speak
we're
from
talking
it
closer.
loud,
Yeah.
away it doesn't sound the same as when you.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this.
All right.
That's right there. There's one camera, but usually gonna be mainly that. So let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Hola YouTube, my name is Ricardo Lino and I'm a Wheeladdict. Welcome to another episode of what I'm starting to call the Shed Podcast. And it's called the Shed because it's the place where my guests stay. But before I present my guest that I got here on my side, let's just play that intro. Okay, so my guest comes from Hawaii. I'm not going to say anything about his age. I'm not going to say anything about his skating. But you'll meet the guy that we have right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Preston Villanueva. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Preston, for someone who's watching these that don't know you, what's up? How did you ended up here?
Oh, well, you know, I've been skating for a long time, over 20 years, 25 years. And we met in San Diego and we became friends. And now I'm here to enjoy a little bit of Portugal and hang out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. So, as Preston was just saying, like, I think it was not the last time. We also met at the last Blading Cup. It was 2019. It was my previous time in the US.
Right.
And I actually made a video that day. I was trying. I wasn't really trying because as much as I could try, I would never succeed. But I was playing a game of skate with Sam Croft.
That's right, yeah.
And you were at that park. And
I
I
remember.
remember you being there. But I've seen you before on social media,
Mm-hmm.
but I never met you in real life. So now I know a bit more because you've been here for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But a lot of people may be just like I was. I knew about you, but I didn't know about you, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You said you've been skating for 25 years.
I have, yeah.
How did you got into skating? How old were you? And
I was probably about 13 years old or so. I was a roller skater. I went to the roller rink quite often. On the base that my dad was stationed at, that was our activity. So we would go hang out. I'd race around the rink and do limbo. And they had the foosball, so we'd play a lot of that. But eventually, it was the 90s. And blading was pretty big. My cousins in Hawaii had some rollerblades from one of the sports stores in the big department stores. And so they had talked me into getting a pair. We were going to play some roller hockey in the neighborhood. So I vividly remember picking some up and rolling outside and playing hockey with them all summer long. And then we went home. My dad was stationed in Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming, on an Air Force base. And that summer, I remember seeing vividly on ESPN the X Games. I think it was X Games or ASA. It might have been ASA Pro Tour. But Randy Spicer and Champion Baumstimler were going head-to-head. And at that time, they're about my age. So they're doing like 720s over the spine and wearing big baggy jeans. And I was like, I was blown away. And being an impressionable kid at that age, I was like, I need to learn how to do that. And so I made a friend with someone in my high school. And still to this day, he's one of my best friends. But he saw that I had blades. He showed me what Senate was, Team Paradise catalogs, and we became good buddies and started skating the streets in Cheyenne, Wyoming, which is a small country town. You know, a lot of Western histories is passed through that city. But we would just go to the skate park and hang out with our skateboarder buddies, and we'd get a lot of flack for rollerblading, but we didn't really care. We just wanted to skate.
Around what year was that? So you were 13, like
Yeah,
mid-90s?
so that was about mid 90s. I actually probably was about 14 or 15 at this time, and started aggressive skating at my local skate park. And it was like a really terrible skate park. You know, one of those, it was like, it had one mani pad, a couple of coping sides that you could grind, and then a ramp that went up the mani pad, and then a little rail that just went out from it. A square rail. It was terrible.
I've seen you with Randy Spicer wheels.
Yeah.
Have you done the 720 on the spine already?
Never. Still haven't figured it out. But
No, the thing is,
yeah.
you were saying that you started skating at 13, but you used to go to the roller rink. So you're saying that you started skating on inline skates or rollerblades or whatever?
It was roller skates, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you started roller skating at that age, or you
At-
skated before?
No, so I was a hardcore roller skater. That was what I chose to do. I didn't even want to pick up rollerblades. I thought it was, you know, it didn't make sense to me. And then my cousins were just like, you got to do it. You got to try it out and roll around outside. And it ended up being a lot more easier to roll around outside on the streets than roller skates were. So
Yeah. For someone watching these that may not know,
yeah.
you want to explain them why it's easier?
Why is it easier? I don't know why it is easier. I feel like maybe it's you know, you're a little bit more agile or a little bit more faster turns, and I don't know. It's not as, it doesn't feel as clunky. I hate to say that word, but for me it did. It was a little easier to roll around on the streets. It was a little smoother. So
Yeah, I always say it's because like the wheelbase, like the distance between the front wheels and the back wheels, that's about your balance point. So it's
Yep.
so short.
right.
And then the wheels are so wide that in each skate you have something like these wide
Mm-hmm.
that can catch a little stone. So if you multiply that per 2 skates, there's like a little cylinder going on the floor
Right.
waiting to catch a stone. Like inline skates are like such a small thing.
Yeah.
And the shape of the wheels, even if you get like a little stone, it just spits the wheel,
Yeah.
like the little stone. It makes a bit of a difference. You were saying, I know a bit more than the people watching these, probably than most of them,
Yeah.
but you were saying that you were first living in one town, then you moved to another one.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Why did you end up moving from one place to the other? And what was it? Wyoming?
Wyoming. Yeah.
Wyoming, was that like the first place where you lived? Because you said you were born in
Mhm.
Hawaii.
Yeah, so I was born in Hawaii. All of my family live in Hawaii still, except my parents. My dad was in the Air Force, so he served in the service for over 20 years. But because of that, we were stationed all over. One of the first places we were stationed was in Montana when I was a young kid. And then we moved to Okinawa, Japan. And we were there for about 3 years and made our journey to Wyoming after that. Wyoming was where I made most of my life. I had elementary school all the way through college. And yeah, after college, I ended up going down to Colorado, skating and living down there. And then met someone in Hawaii who actually lived in Seattle, Washington. So I was actually in the Seattle, Washington area for the past 10 years before the pandemic hit, and during the pandemic, I just decided to move back to Hawaii. So,
Yeah, so it's been interesting the past couple of days that I've been with you. It's
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of people that I'm with that has so many people in common, like
Oh.
friends in common.
right.
It's like it's insane because a lot of people, some people may not know about you. A lot of the Americans do know about you, and it's funny because it's just like you just know everyone. It seems like you know everyone. You skate with everyone.
Yeah, I do. I skated with a lot of different people. I think it originated from just living in a small town and wanting to go travel around. A lot of my time was spent going from Cheyenne to Denver to skate, and then eventually moved down to Colorado. But as a teenager, we would take trips down to Fort Collins. I would meet the guys. The first crew of people that I met was these guys who were in fast shoes, a Colorado crew, Fort Collins crew. They were all sponsored by Kryptonics wheels. And these guys were rowdy bunch. One was named Brian, and the other guy named Dan. Very good skaters, and they took me skating to one of the famous places in Colorado called North High, and they were doing backslides on oxygen skates and they had Lightning TRS with the CDS grind plates and doing big kink rails and stuff, and I was just blown away. But that was one of my first trips down there. But I ended up just wanting to explore the areas. Like, you know, you just come from a small town and you're the only person in the town that's skating, and you're just like, I need to find more people like me. So, you know, I met more people in Wyoming and Colorado, and it just kind of became a thing. And, you know, it was part of my skating life was just meeting people. And because I've lived in so many different places, it was just easy for me to pick it up and meet someone that was skating, and then we just became immediate friends, best friends, you know. So I
really see myself in that story.
I know.
You are right now in my hometown. Like, it's kind of like, this is where I grew up.
Right. Yeah.
Until I was 18, and it's just like, it's such a small town. It still is. Mm-hmm. And like, especially after traveling and seeing other places coming back here.
Yeah.
I love it. But
yeah, it's weird to come back and revisit your first spots that you skated. You showed me your curves that you were skating when you were a kid and stuff. And it's like, oh man, I just remember, you know, the first rails that you're doing and those first curbs that you wax up and stuff. And I remember being just like my step on my house in the base housing, I just waxed it up, and whereas doing stalls on there, I had like Bravo blades or whatever with the automatic brake system. And I don't even think I took the brake off. I just skated around. I used to deliver newspapers on my rollerblades in the snow.
As a job?
Yeah, as a job. That was my thing, you know, like in the 90s, that was the way people got their news, was through newspapers. So every morning you wake up. And
I've seen that in movies a lot.
Yeah.
How much do people get paid for that? I have no idea. Sorry. It's like this is like probably the ignorant European that live in a small town with like 10,000 people.
We sold subscriptions. So I had a route of like 3 streets and then probably like 50 subscribers, and each of them would pay probably like, I don't know, maybe $10 a month for it. So I'd have to go and collect money from them. Yeah.
And how much would that be for you
as a kid? It was probably a good amount. I don't remember how much, but it was enough for me to, you know, buy skates and stuff.
I have no idea. What is that? Is it like $100 a month, $200 a month?
It was probably like three to $500, just depending on how big your
a month
was.
That's more than some pro skaters get paid. You have a lot of pro skater friends.
That's right. And this is back in the day too.
You've been around a lot of pro skaters.
Yeah.
Did you live with any pro skaters or any?
Yeah. I used to live with Josiah Blee in Seattle. Yeah. That was a lot of fun hanging out with him and skating. I learned a lot, you know, so. Who else did I live with? Pros I didn't really live with too much, but I skated a lot with them. Like, for example, down in Colorado, I know Brian Aragon. He's a good friend of mine. He just would, you know, we'd see each other at skate park, and he'd always remember my name. And it's just a fun thing to be like recognized by someone that's your role model is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
yeah. I know that it's just like,
it's so weird.
Just like when you go some places and like these people that you would never expect them to even know who you are, they come and say, "Hey, what's up?" That's awesome. And did you ever went like the competition way, or did you ever compete and try to do that part of skating, or was never your thing?
I never took competition too seriously. I actually, the first time I competed was in the late 90s. I remember there was this big skate park in Colorado or Denver called it was in the Stapleton area. It was just outside of the Denver area, but it was a big metal skate park. And so this is before they started making multi-million-dollar skate parks, before Denver Park was built. But we went there. They opened with a big skate contest, and I watched the Benders skate, and I'm pretty sure they won during that time. But I did my run, and I remember trying to do Unity, and I tried to moon the crowd. I just wasn't taking it too seriously, and I remember falling, and it was just terrible. But after that, I never really took it seriously. I think the next time I took a contest seriously was I snuck into the vet cup.
Okay.
You had to meet the criteria, and I didn't. I think I may only made 2 out of the 3 criteria, but I was like, I got to try it to skate. Skate with.
Did it allow
with
you
the
to
heroes.
skate?
Luckily, John let me skate it, so it was really nice. It was fun. I think it was the first time they had the vet cup. But
Was that 2019 or?
it was prior to that. Yeah, it was the one they had the contest at a warehouse. I forgot what the name of the word. Yeah, I think it was. What year was it? 2017. I don't know. It was prior, but they had a couple of down boxes and then a down rail in the middle.
Oh, it was like a protection company.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
the
the
name
one.
of that. I'm trying to remember.
Right. Yeah, and I remember there was a lot of energy. There was a lot of hype, and I think Spicer had actually just come back and started skating again, and he did a classic top sole, true sole on the freaking. Yeah, it was gnarly, but super stoked, and that was like it got me hyped, and I kind of wanted to try it again. Just you get older and you want to push yourself and see what happens. But yeah, I'm not too big into competitions.
You just told me how old you are. You don't seem like that.
I know it's weird to even think that I'm.
For anyone watching this, please before he even tells his age, just please write it down in the comments, and then in like the next minute he might say it, because I didn't believe.
Right.
How old are you?
Yes, 41.
We're the same age.
Yeah.
Like so much older. Another thing is like you lived in a lot of places with snow.
Yeah.
Were you ever into skiing?
No, not skiing so much. I was into snowboarding. I think in the early 2000s, as a lot of my friends were just doing it. So, and some of my blader buddies, and they were just like, "Hey, you should come snowboard with us." And actually, the first time I went snowboarding, I got a concussion.
That's why I didn't do it anymore.
No, I still enjoyed it. I did it for a few more years after that, but it got really expensive, and it wasn't really my thing. And I think blading was more my draw. I really enjoyed it, and I liked hanging out and not having to pay huge prices to go to snowboard. So.
Yeah, but you live in Hawaii.
I know.
You don't need to pay to get in the water. Do you surf?
I very seldomly. I've surfed once this year in my aunt's place in Maui, so that was a lot of fun. But I don't even think I caught a wave.
The thing is, like, I started surfing when I was young. Not surfing. A lot of people call it boogie boarding, but somehow boogie boarding is a big thing in Portugal and whatever. It's still a big thing. Yeah, I used to compete and stuff.
Nice.
But I always had the idea of Hawaii of having like really big waves. Of course, it's what we see. It's the same Portugal. A lot of people see those waves in Nazaré. It doesn't mean that it's like that everywhere. But
right.
Is there places with small waves in Hawaii?
There is, yeah. I think the best place is probably Waikiki. They just have the nice, perfect waves. The only problem is it's just so crowded, and so you can't even. You're fighting with other people to get the wave, and but that spot's really nice. I preferably I prefer going to Maui because there's some parts of that spot that you can just go up to. There's not too many people, and the waves are not that big, so it's easier to get in and be an entry level surfer there. So
to be an entry level surfer, also skates. Question.
Yeah,
there used to be like a really awesome crew of Hawaiian skaters. I remember on the Battle My Crew videos, some of my favorite parts are from Hawaii.
Yeah.
What's up with those guys?
Yeah, so actually it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. One of the main guys from that crew, most of them were from Maui that we'd see in the Battle My Crew. But the main crew now, there's a lot of guys in Oahu that are skating the Aloha Blade crew. Those guys are awesome. They just always show people around. But Michael Keeney was one of the main guys who used to film. He used to film for FP, and he made a lot of connections with those guys. But his crew of people, they all fell off early, like in the early 2000s. But they used to kill it. They used to do some really, really hard tricks, and
very stylish. I remember some of the best root topsails. I told you the other day.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name, but I think it was Keith Bustamante. Is that
Kiahi Bustamante? There was that.
I remember. I think it was him doing like a true topsail on a ledge that was long, flat, and then curved. And I remember watching that and going out to the spots that I showed you today and trying to do it. Like I remember the Hawaiian guy.
Yep. And there's many talented guys. One of my favorite skaters from that crew was actually Michael Keeney's brother, Caleb Keeney. I remember him being probably one of the younger guys in the crew, and I remember going out there when I was young and making contact with them. And this is before the internet, right? So we would I think I met one of their friends in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and he told me, hey, when you go to Hawaii, contact these guys. So luckily when I contacted them, I was hanging out there this summer, and they're visiting their grandfather in Kaneohe, which is on the other side of the island from me. And Michael's brother invited me to come skate, and we met up. They skated all day. I watched them skate, and they're killing it. They're filming for their video. And coincidentally, it was the first time that those guys, one of those guys introduced me to weed, and they're smoking all kinds of pot and stuff. And but they were quite the crew. I remember them killing it, and I've never seen any people that took it seriously like that at that time. Most people were just hanging out, skating, and
was that before meeting the guys in Colorado or after?
This was probably before meeting everyone in Colorado. Yeah.
Okay, so if you would put them on a competition, would be better the fast shoes guys or the Hawaiian guys?
The Hawaiian guys were definitely more tech. They're much more advanced in their skating styles and stuff. So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
You were saying something which I find it quite interesting. I've experienced the same, but you said something about through skating, you made friends with people that you never met. So you came back to Hawaii, and after coming from Wyoming, and they just said, like, just contact these guys. And have you experienced that lately? Is that something that you still experience as much, or you think it was that type of connection was stronger prior to internet, or it's the same?
I think it's probably about the same. I feel like the internet or social media and things have strengthened being able to make connections with people. You're able to talk with them prior to actually meeting up or, seeing them. Back then, I didn't even know what they looked like. You couldn't see a picture or anything. You just heard about them, and you trusted your friend that said, hey, meet up with these other people, so.
I kind of feel, I don't know if you feel the same. For me, it kind of feels like keeping your way of thinking. It kind of feels like the networks just became bigger.
Yeah.
If you would have access to one or two people, because you would need to find ways to contact them. Nowadays, you just write the name on Instagram, and it's at the distance of a search button. And
it really is,
that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you follow nowadays. You can follow people that you have interest in their skating, and just send them messages, and then eventually you can become friends, and they're, people that you can make a connection with and hang out with. So it's pretty cool. Yeah,
that's cool. It's cool, like how much closer it's cool, but at the same time, it kind of also loses a bit of the magic, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like I imagine, like, you remember these times for sure, like watching Daily Bread and like, oh, these guys. Very randomly, you could maybe see them one day in a street spot if you'd be in San Diego, maybe, or you could go to a competition and see them, but how often would you be able to contact them like you are today, and maybe even becoming friends? So it's just so much easier for things to happen. Not that it's bad, it's just like...
Yeah, right.
Things are more possible. I know that for a couple of years, you lived from skating. What did you do?
Yeah.
You did work with a couple brands.
I did. I worked with K2 for a little while. Actually, the reason I got on K2, they were having they had a marketing manager who actually, I don't think he really knew what he was doing. He came from snowshoe background.
What's his name?
His name is Carmi, and he doesn't work for the company.
Was that after Mike Powell?
This is after Mike Powell. Mike was the one. Mike actually, he had a lot of input in helping, or he had a lot to help with me getting into K2 actually at the time too.
He's from Seattle too, right?
He is, yeah. He lives in West Seattle. So he had left the company, and so Carmi was somebody that took over for him. And I think he didn't really know how to reach out to the skating community. So they had asked for ambassadors for the company, and I was like, sure, just try it, see what happens. And then I ended up getting an email from him. He had me come down and meet with him and Rachel. Rachel was the skate engineer at the time. And they were just showing me what they were working on. This is prior to the K2 and Naturals being out there. And yeah, they just wanted us to skate the skates and show them off. And
were you able to?
A little bit.
Sorry,
yeah.
were you able to give them any consulting, like on who would be someone to be good to be on the team and stuff like that?
You kind of give your input, but for the most part, I think they were limited on who they could bring on. They were mostly just giving away products at the time. So, and they'd ask us for feedback on the equipment and stuff. But for the most part, I think they had already chosen how they were going to build the skate and then put it out. So our feedback wasn't really, it was taken into consideration, but used for the next couple of years, so.
Have you seen anything happening with your feedback after?
Yeah, there was. We helped with a little bit of the backslide plate for the new Unnatural, because it was kind of funky. It was a little too deep and stuff, and the frame was a little weird for us. But we gave whatever we could, and they took the information. But for the most part, I think they had their own ideas of what they wanted to do. So yeah, it was tough to work with them in that respect, but. It was fun. It was just, we were getting free skates and we were hanging out, and they had the indoor ramp that we were able to use. So that was fun. And I just give them material.
Really? What ramp did they have?
They had this like wooden, it was like a half of a bowl. It was really fun, but it was private. Nobody else could skate it except K2 employees. And then they started inviting their ambassadors to skate it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We would go there. Seattle's super rainy, so we'd try to get under cover as much as possible, and that we'd always be like, hey, can we skate the ramp? So yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
How many people were on that ambassadors?
There was me, actually. Gabby was one.
I remember Gabby.
I think Richard Williams was one at the time. Jimmy from Cleveland, and who else? I ended up bringing my friend Brandon Weller from Seattle on.
Okay, I was going to ask, how were you able to skate if you had to find a friend to?
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, I can't just skate by myself and film this. I got to have somebody to do it with. But, could we give him skates as well too, so I can film him? So that was kind of the deal, and they were okay with that. It was free equipment.
Yeah, for such a big company.
I know, exactly. It's nothing.
Did you ever add any connection to any other company, any skate company?
So through my connections at K2, I ended up working with a company, Skate IA, which is Skate Instructors Association. I met Trish through a couple of people, actually. I actually was working with a skate shop at that time in Seattle called Skate Crazy, and they shared space with the distribution for North America of Seba. Naomi was taking care of that, and I met those two. They put me in contact with Trish, who was doing Skate IA, and she also does a skate school called Skate Journeys in Seattle. And so I worked with them for a while. She taught me how to teach others to skate, and she asked me if I wanted to become a certified instructor. So I did that for a little bit, and then she helped me to certify other people with that certification. Be Free came through. I taught him how to teach others. Eric Garcia came with him at that time, so it was a lot of fun to just be part of that, and you felt like you're growing a community of new skaters. So, and I still enjoy it. I still enjoy teaching.
Were you able to do it full time as a full time job?
Yeah. So I actually did it during. I did a summer camp with Trish. Me and some of my best friends. We just taught kids to skate. We played games. We were on and off skates, and by the end of the week, they did like a little talent show, and so it was fun. We just showed off their skating, but mostly it was just like hanging out with kids and them enjoying skating, you know.
Yeah, but you did it. You were able to do it full time, as full-time job.
Yeah,
or-
yeah. I was able to do a full-time job, and
For how long were you able to?
I did it for a summer. I did that for a summer, and then I also taught at her school a couple times, but it was also mostly on the weekends at that time. But the summertime was when we were basically working full time, because it was like from the morning up until 3 or 4.
I can imagine Seattle raining so much must be hard to. Is there indoor places in Seattle where
There's a
people
few.
can teach all over, like all year long or something?
For teaching, not necessarily, because those indoor parks were normally owned by skateboard companies, or the city owned it, and we didn't really have programs that were set up with the city. So, yeah, I know there's so many hurdles that have jumped to just try to get in there and try to teach. But with Trish's program, she had her own space, so that was cool. It just wasn't our space to teach our own things. And in my heart, I really wanted to teach kids to grind and do airs and hit the skate park. So.
But for someone watching these who doesn't know what Skate IA is, basically, it's a program to certify people out there to teach others to skate. And they started first in Seattle, with Trish, right? And now they've been going international. They've been doing certifications all over. There's been a couple in Europe. There's been a couple all over the place. I do know that. And the truth is, the more instructors there is out there, the more people will get into skating. And yes, I'm one of those that I want to see more people doing grinds and all that, but I'm also one of those that always says the same. It's like, hey, fly, move away. I'm one of those that always says the same, which is, we need more people on skates, and then once they're comfortable with the skates, they will choose. Some will want to play hockey, some will want to play.
Yeah, some will want to dance, or whatever.
Some will just want to fitness, whatever. Some will not want to skate anymore, which is normal. But the more we get on skates, the more we will have the possibility that it will turn into skating parks and stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with her. I did I had an opportunity to teach kids in Park City, Utah, with Trish, and the reason was the U.S. Olympic Committee was trying to recruit kids to join their speed skating teams. But first, they needed kids to be on skates in order to recruit from them.
That's what we're saying. Just they need the basics to then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that is it. And did you ever have any other connection with any skate brand or something like that? Or other than that, you've been mainly skating for yourself?
Mostly been skating for myself. Yeah, mostly just hanging out. I think I had one bearing company that sponsored me in Seattle. It was called Yellow Jacket Bearings, and they were a skateboard company, but I think they sold mostly bearings on Amazon, and they weren't really too into the skateboarding community, but they were trying, and so they gave me free bearings, and I usually would hand them out to my friends. They're okay. I think they were mostly just cheap. They were just like skateboard bearings that if you wanted them for affordable price and you wanted to beat them up, that's what you needed.
We were actually talking about that today, because you were telling me how picky you are with some frames being slower or faster and you skate flat. I'm picky sometimes, but I remember when I used to skate professionally. And when I used to skate like for a brand, like differently, I don't know, when I used to skate for USD, I just didn't care about bearings at all. I skated anti-rocker 54 or 55. Don't ask me why or how, but whatever, I did it. It just made sense at the time to do top sides with that. It was easier. And a lot of times I remember trying to get like the lowest ABAC bearings. It's known like the ABAC being like, it's about precision. But the thing is, like, the lowest ABAC, the more grease there will be on the bearing, so the more they would last, instead of getting that bearing that just don't last. Skating anti-rocker, I just used to be like that. Whatever. So you were saying that you lived in Seattle up until the pandemic.
Yeah.
What happened through the pandemic for you?
Yeah, through the pandemic, actually, it's strange to think about.
What were you doing as a job before the pandemic?
Oh,
What
yeah.
happened?
So before the pandemic, I was a recruiter, tech recruiter for companies in Seattle, and just office job. And I was starting to grow tired of it. It just felt like something I didn't really want to do anymore. That world it's judgy, and it just wasn't me. I felt like I was wasting my life in the office. And so one of my best friends, she was like, "Do you enjoy what you're doing?" I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Why don't you go do something else?" So I left, and that's when I started teaching more, doing a little bit more classes, private lessons and things like that. But I also, I ended up working at a pot store as a bud tender. And that was a lot of fun because it gave me a lot of time to skate. And during the pandemic, it hit really hard. And we were an essential worker, so I was able to still work. But my shift was in the evening, so Seattle gets pretty dark pretty quickly, and you can't really skate in the evening. It gets a little wet and kind of terrible to skate. But during the day, it left a lot of time for me to skate. And one of the few people that were free to skate was Alex Brosco and my other buddy, Chad Anthony. So we would meet up and skate the skate parks or whatever, and then I'd go to work.
But why did you left Seattle then?
Why did I leave Seattle? At the time, my best friend and I, we had a place living together. A couple of my best friends, we were just living in a house. It was awesome, but the homeowners had moved back from Mexico to reclaim their home, and I didn't really feel like living in Seattle anymore. Like the cost of living was getting high, so I was just like, I'm going to do something else. And in fact, I was actually going to move back to Colorado just to be around family. And then I got an opportunity to house sit for a family member, and I moved back to Hawaii. And I was like, well, temporary, it'll be chill, just hanging out here during the pandemic and kind of hiding out. But then I realized I had never lived there. My whole life I'd go visit family and hang out. But this was the first time that I had stayed put. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go sell all my stuff in Seattle. And out of my storage unit, I ended up selling all that stuff down there. I had my vehicle, and then a couple of my buddies. I don't know if you guys heard these guys, the Cousins. they're a duo of guys that I met in Seattle. They actually didn't rollerblade before the pandemic, but during the pandemic we met them, and they started picking up skates. I gave them, one of the guys, free pair of skates during a donate and skate that my friend Alan Clark put on. And then he introduced his skateboard buddy to blading, and then they started skating. But those guys had invited me to come with them on the trip to Oakland to a skate contest. And I was like, screw it, I'm just going to sell all my stuff here in Seattle. And I went down. This is like in 2021, 2020. I forgot what year it was. It was just like shortly after, I think it was 2021, after I had moved to Hawaii. And then I went down there, and I was like, I got to sell my CRV. Guys like and Cameron Talbot at the time was like, hey, actually I might buy your car. I was like, yeah,
is that his car? Because I've been in, I don't remember, I'm trying to remember his car.
So,
I was with him like last time I was in San Francisco. I don't remember what car.
At that time I think he had like 3 cars or something at the time, so he's like, yeah, I'll buy it. And he talked me down to a price, and I was like, screw it, man, I'll sell it to you. And he's like, nah, never mind, I won't buy it. And so I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And those guys were like, we're still going to San Diego. Do you want to come? Like, you can hop in the car, or you could drive down there. And I was like, I don't really want to drive further. And Yvonne Narez messaged me out of nowhere, and he's like, hey man, you still selling your CRV? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'll buy it. I was like, cool. So I drove it over to his house, and he's like, hey, you want to stay over at the house? He invited me and my buddies, the Cousins, to hang out, and he showed us around in his place. It was this freaking Willy Wonka Wonderland in there, and he bought my vehicle, and then I kept my journey going. So it was cool. It was really nice. I was able to skate more California parks that year. So
sick.
Yeah.
And what do you do in Hawaii now?
Now in Hawaii, I work as a bartender at a luau. So luau is a party on the beach where they do the hula, and then there's food being served, a pig that is roasted in the ground, and you know, I'm a bartender and just mostly serving tourists. There's all beach drinks, and it's a lot of fun. I go to the beach, hang out, wear my Hawaiian shirt, serve the drinks, hang out with one of my best buddies who rollerblades with me. He's a first aid guy. His name is Joey, and he just started back into blading recently too. So it's been fun to have that energy where you're like, I've been skating for a long time, but this guy quit like right after the early 2000s.
Yeah, like when things started going down.
Yeah, and then he picked it up during the pandemic. He's like, hey man, I used to do this. I used to really enjoy it, and picked up a pair of actually when I first met him, he had the Alex Brosco RB, like the Band-Aid skates.
Oh, yeah. Which one's the black or the brown?
The very first ones, the brown and the red ones. Yeah, and I was like, well, you got to get rid of those. But he started skating them, and then now we're just best friends. We skate all the time. He films all the time.
How did he felt when he told him? I'm sure he told him, I used to skate with Brosco. He's like, I used to skate. The guy didn't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it didn't really sink in for him. I think mostly it was just like everything was new to him. So it was just like, but he left off skating. You know, it was like right before, like where the hammers were. It was like, and so when he came back to skating, I think he felt like he still needed to show off the hammers and that sort of thing. And like, I was like, we've changed, man. Like a lot of our skating's just, you know, you don't need to die. You don't need to die now.
You're still cool without dying.
Exactly.
You can still be friends. But I've seen you also have a different project in Hawaii that you made some. Is it rugs that I call it?
Yeah,
I've seen you making some. I love them, and you made some with like some Senate logos and stuff.
Yeah. So actually, it was really funny. Right before I left Seattle, my good buddy that was hanging out with Evie, he's very into fashion and just new trendy things, and he was like, "Hey man, you know, check out this rug video. These guys are making rugs." I was like, whatever, that's cool. And he's like, you know what, man, we should make the USD logo or the Razor RR logo. I was like, not really for me, but I was still intrigued. And so when I moved to Hawaii, I was kind of bored, and I looked up, you know, on Facebook.
Not the USD or the Razors, but I'll buy it.
Well, the thing is, I was like, I had my own ideas, and I was like, you know what, I'll find the equipment and see what happens. So I ended up buying the rug gun from some guy on Facebook Marketplace, and one of the first rugs I tried to attempt was a Super S, the Senate Super S, because it was just like, you know, it was the
what
first.
What does that mean, attempt?
Yeah. It just to try to make it, you know.
Yeah, no, but was it that bad?
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Because for you to call it a attempt,
it didn't even make it through. Like there's been so many hurdles of trying to do this new hobby, but I was very determined. I was like, man, I got all this stuff, and I was just like, I got to try to make one. So I ended up, you know, watching a bunch more YouTube videos and figuring it out, and now it's just like this fun hobby that I do. It's just like blading, you know, just kind of keep trying it.
But you
over
sell
and over
them
again.
too, right?
I sold a couple. Yeah, I've sold a bunch actually.
What's the website so people watching this, they can maybe order one?
Yeah. You can go to my Instagram. Send It Rugs is the name of the
Send
Instagram.
It.
Send it. Yeah, send it.
Send
just
it.
like, because I was just like, you know, you got to figure it out. You got to send it. You got to put it through. Send the yarn through. But yeah, it was just kind of a fun thing, and I was like starting to make a bunch of. My first successful one was a Senate Halo, so I made that. I made a dead logo. That was really fun. I made a hole in there, so I had to patch it. But Megan Peterson ended up buying that one, so that was really cool. I did a trade with her, so that was fun.
I want to buy one for the park to put at the entrance.
Oh yeah, yes, dude, that'd be fun.
Do you ship? Can you ship worldwide or something?
I ship. I've mostly shipped to the U.S., but yeah, I can ship worldwide.
Yes,
yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and then my favorite one that I had made maybe a year ago. The last fall Blading Cup, I was just showing them off just because it was like, you know, just see what happens, see what people think of them and whatnot.
Make money.
David Sizemore had stopped, and he was just like, oh, wow, like, this is amazing. Him and his wife were very, you know, nice, and they gave me a bunch of compliments, and he came back later, and he's like, hey, can you make make one for me? I was like, sure. I was like, what do you want? He's like, it's going to be a gift for Ivan. It was his birthday. So I was like, all right, cool. And then about a month later, I finished it. It was a Hermanos rug, so it looked like a Mexican blanket. It was very colorful. It was the first one that I had done outside of making skate logos. And I was like, damn, if I could do this, I can do all kinds of different things. So that was one that really inspired me to like go outside of doing more skate logos and stuff like that. But I was super proud of that one. I sent that over to Ivan. He has it displayed, I think, in front of his TV or something. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Make the whole floor of the park made of rug.
You wipe your feet off and skate.
I'll put it in front of the rail. It's going to be helpful sometimes.
Yeah.
I know you had something cool going on for a couple of years in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
You want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I used to organize this event called the Northwest Shred Tour. And that went about for 10 years before I left. But basically, it was just, it was inspired from the Northwest Shred, or the Shred Till You're Dead tour. Those guys would come and they did their thing. They did their videos. Twice. Yeah, twice. And I was like, man, that'd be fun to go with your friends and do that. Like, I was like, I used to go to the Colorado road trip as a when I was living down there in Colorado, and I just couldn't make it back home to Colorado for a few years to join them. It was always on my birthday, like they always do at the beginning of August. So I ended up, it was just like, I asked my friends, Carter and JT, I was just like, hey man, you guys want to do this thing? You guys want to go camp around? And he was like, yeah, like these are the spots we should go check out. So I ended up making plans with a guy down in Oregon. His name's Travis Steensley. He used to work with the Mind Game team back in the day, and he's like, yeah, we should go check out all these Oregon places. And it just became a big thing. The first year, it was just like a trial and error. We camped on some rocks, and we couldn't even have a fire the first night, and it was just like we kind of made do. That was the first year. We had probably about 50 people, but the next year we organized a little bit better and invited my friends from NorCal, and they came up and they were just flabbergasted. I think our first park on that tour was like the Hood River Park. It was like it's in the forest. It has a big awning. Yeah.
Yes.
And,
the one that has the covered part, but then there's like the channel. Like
yeah. And it's just crazy because that year, I think the Haitian Mag guys were coming through and they just heard about it through the grapevine. So they joined just for a day to hang out. Ross Kuhn, I think, was there for a little bit. But then we kept moving around. We went down south, and the NorCal guys all came and met up with us. And I think at that time we just started getting like 100 people to come. And it was crazy. I remember going to one skate park, and one of my friends started tagging the skate park, just like Northwest Shred Tour. I forget what year it was, 2015 or something like that. And then the locals started getting really upset with him tagging these, and they were kids. They were just like 15 or 16-year-old kids. They went and got their 20-year-old brother to come down and like confront my friend, and a big skate park brawl broke out. And it was just like this wild thing. I was just trying to break it up, and like all these guys are just like fighting each other, and we were like, yo, we gotta leave. So was
Eric Garcia there?
I think Garcia was there. Keen was probably there. Like this just is wild. And
Eric, I know you got it.
But it was the funniest thing is like after we left that skate park, because we scrambled, we all met up and we started talking about the experience, and we were just like, that was crazy that happened. But it was weird because it kicked off the tour, and we all became closer at that time. And
it was good.
Yeah,
sometimes stuff like that is when people get together.
Yeah.
It's for someone that don't know what the Shred Till Your Death is. The thing is,
the Shred Tour, yeah.
For us that have been skating nonstop for so long, all these things are just part of what we've been going through over the past 20, 15, 10, 5, whatever. But there's a lot of people that got back into skating through the pandemic,
right.
Especially a lot of the people that watch what I do, and it's insane. I've been kind of like tracking through traveling. I've been finding out so many people that got through skating through the pandemic. So that's why I'm explaining all these things.
Yeah,
it's like Shred Till Your Dad was like probably the best skaters, or some of the best, best transition skaters, like Stockwell, Effie,
Brandon Smith.
Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
Who else? Was Story there too? No.
Probably. Yeah, they
Yeah.
probably stopped through there.
Yeah, there was some of the best transition skaters.
Mhm.
They just made this tour, and the Northwest is like just this area above San Francisco, which is Washington,
Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho. These states, yeah. in the
and it's
corner.
known for having some of the best skate parks. In the world.
Biggest bowl parks, yeah. And
It's just insane.
insane, huge parks in the middle of the forests, out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so it made perfect for road trips and camping and being out in the middle of the woods. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Good.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole thing that I was just talking right now about all these people coming back into skating after the pandemic?
Oh, what
Did
do
you
I
had a
think?
lot of? You said that you have someone working with you that just got back through skating,
Yeah.
to skating through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of? You also said like the Hawaiian crew is getting back.
Yeah, they're all coming back. They're dusting off the blades, you know, they're trying to figure out the new equipment that's out there, because when they left, the equipment was just grind plates and tumor
Yeah.
plates and then things like that. So
Is there
Yeah.
shops in Hawaii?
not now, but I think them is starting to send skates to one of our bike stores, like the Bike Factory. I think they started getting 80s and some of the equipment that them
cool.
makes. Yeah, so
That's cool.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have an opportunity to try skates on, you know, in person. So
And what about the regular skater? Do you have a lot of the not just aggressive skaters, but you have a
Mhm.
lot of regular skaters like the recreational skater
yeah,
or urban skaters? You have a lot
Yeah.
of that in Hawaii.
yeah, actually you do. You have a lot of people that just want to be rec skating and cruising around on the beach.
Get-togethers like on a day a week or something like that. You have that?
I think the roller skate crews, they get together, they do their dances and hangouts on Friday nights at one of their main beaches. So that's really nice to see. We participate in it every once in a while whenever they have it. But actually, there is a skate shop that they just started selling roller skates and some power slide products. But it's like a pop-up, so it shows up
Yeah.
twice a month or something like that.
But
Like
you don't have like a urban skating day in Oahu or something like that?
No. But it's kind of funny that you mentioned urban skating, because it's like, I think a lot of those folks that do that, they're just solo skaters. They love to just go by themselves. Because one of my coworkers, he found out that I was a skater through Instagram or through the word of mouth in the workplace. And he was adamant in showing me his skates. He's brought them in. He was just like, "Hey man, I also skate. Like, check this out," you know. And I was like, "Oh, when do you go?" He's like, "I usually just skate by myself, you know, just cruising around." So, you know, it's a nice thing. They just like to go out, get the exercise in.
Have
That's
you
what-
ever heard about Dust?
Yeah. Denver Urban Skate crew
Troops.
Troops. Okay.
Durban urban skating. Urban
Yeah,
skating
yeah,
troops.
yeah.
And it started like that. A bunch of skaters
That's right. Yeah.
that used to skate by themselves, and then they started getting together.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays they have different routes, they have different levels.
Yeah.
They have more than one. I think they have more than one day. I don't know if they have more than one day that they get together, but I know that they have everything planned to the point. There's like the yellow route, the blue route, the green. Probably I'm saying the colors wrong, but like,
Uh-huh.
and then depending on the color, there's like the skill level,
Oh, that's cool.
and it's insane the amount of people, and it's all new skaters to the point that the last time that I was in Denver,
Uh-huh.
Brian Aragon was telling
yeah.
me that he showed up to one of them,
Mhm.
and it's so many. The skaters are so new that no one knew Brian. So one of the kids went to Brian Aragon and told him, "Do you ski?
Oh.
You have so much control on those things." Can you imagine? He
I
shows
know.
up in a thing with like 70 or 80 people, and no one knows.
No one's even. Yeah.
It's like Brian Aragon is like,
right.
but that's why I was asking. Is like, I've been watching a lot of these groups that were either very small or that were just inexistent. Like a good example of that would be Dust.
Mhm.
Also in Denver, also in Dallas, they started like a group that has been growing
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah, I remember Jan doing one in Austin. And I think the groups got really big out there where
But
he was just rolling around.
that's what I was trying to say. Is like if someone in Hawaii is like just it starts as two. Like in South Africa, we started doing something when I used to live there.
Yeah.
When we first started the shop, I would never think of that. But my wife was like, "Yeah, we should start like a WhatsApp group," and we just started. Whenever people buy skates, we add them to this group, and we get a day per week that we get together. And the thing started growing to the point that nowadays, I think there's no more space on that WhatsApp group. It's 250 people, and then people need to go to Telegram. And I don't know enough about that, but the truth is, all it needs is someone
to take the initiative,
to just say like, start something. Like another one. The last time I saw you before the last time I was in the US, like 2019.
Yeah.
Before I met you in San Diego, I came from New York where I was with Shreddy. And they had the Wednesday night skate that has been like since the 90s or whatever. And that Wednesday night skate, they had like 30 people.
Okay.
That's nothing for New York, 30 people. The last time that I was there now, there was like 180 or something. And they say that they very often they have like 300 people now.
Wow.
But from those 180 people, the same 30 were there.
Yeah.
And then you have another 150 that all started through the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's insane the amount of people that... I'm curious to see what's going to happen next. I'm really curious to see.
You know, it's you mentioned these rollouts and stuff, and it's really funny that you mentioned that. And it's funny that it has to start with someone there. But I was in Mexico, in Guadalajara, Mexico, visiting some friends, and they were like, hey, we do this thing on Sundays. It's called the Recreativo or something like that, where they shut down every street in the major metropolitan area. And Guadalajara is the second largest city in Mexico. So from, I think, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m., the streets are shut down to cars. You can't even drive your car in there. But you can walk, you can run, you can hang out.
Active.
Yeah, bikes. And there was so many bladers, so many roller skaters, people just cruising on the streets. And I was just like, I wish they would do this more often in major metropolitan areas in the U.S.
But they do that a lot too. When I was in Kuala Lumpur, they also do that in Malaysia. But they don't do it I think, if I'm not mistaken, they do every second Sunday.
Okay.
They stop it. And then they have always the same space, the same place. And then people just go and they use it for training. And it's cool because that's how people get to see other people that skate. That's how kids that go there with their parents that see groups of people doing the same.
Absolutely.
But that's why it's important that we have these somehow organized groups. Yeah. But we can't do everything. So.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So what's coming next? Skate related.
Skate related. We're going to Skate Love Barcelona. I've never been to Barcelona. I'm very excited.
Do you dance on skates?
If I'm obliged, or maybe if I'm at the roller rink.
If you finish those 2 beers.
I guess we'll see when we get there.
You've never been to Barcelona?
I've never been to Barcelona. Yeah. I've heard it's a mecca for skating, and it looks amazing to be out there. So I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's cool. You can just skate everywhere. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And after that, for how long have you been? Are you going to stay in Europe? First time in Europe?
Yeah, this is my first time in Europe. I've never been. I am in Portugal. I've been here for about a week and a half now, 2 weeks almost. So very stoked to be here. I'm very thankful for you showing me around. It's been awesome. Mike's been a great host, so that's cool.
Mike is editing this live. Mike is the guy right there changing from one camera to the other. You guys don't see it, but he's right there.
Best quad skater I've ever seen, that's for sure.
Just today, it's just like...
Yeah, man, this guy is killing it on the quads. So you go check out my boy.
We'll put it right here, like this, just somewhere.
But yeah, I've been just cruising and checking out the parks. One thing I'm looking forward to is Unity Jam in Hawaii. My friend Mayan Tamang, he put that on.
Is he living in Hawaii?
Yeah, he's from Hawaii. Yeah, or he's got Polynesian roots, and so he originally lived in Hawaii. I think he lived in
Best
the Bay
zero
area.
spin in the whole world. Almost
I think he's
landed.
one of the guys that did the leap of faith. Yeah.
Almost landed the leap of. Very
right,
close to landing the leap of faith.
Yeah, he's got some roots in New York, and so he's putting this Unity Jam on. He's just big fan. He's one of the guys that came back during the pandemic, and his son skates, who's awesome, and just I think he's just a big fan of it, and wanted to bring. His idea was to bring breakdancing and blading together in a big hangout. So he invited a lot of the quads to do their thing and have a competition. So. That's going to happen at the beginning of October. I think some people are coming through. I'm really stoked. I think Alex is going to come through. Maybe the them team, I don't know, but it would be cool to see new faces in Hawaii, because it's an island we don't get too many people that visit, but a lot of people from the West Coast definitely visit. Victor was out there, Victor Arias and Sean Keane. They were just hanging out and skating. Or Victor wasn't skating, he was hanging out, but I think he just had surgery on his hand as the reason he wasn't skating.
Do you have kids?
Do I have kids?
No, do you have kids in Hawaii?
Uh-huh.
Starting to skate? Do you see kids?
So yes, I had a summer camp last year that I taught maybe like 6 or 7 kids. And out of that group I had these 2 girls who their dad skates, and I skate with him very often, but these 2 girls are they put themselves out there, they film, they do vice, but they're young. Sarai and Arya, they're some of my favorite students. I love to go teach them, but they started in transition, and I was just like wowed by like them skating these bowls, and eventually I was just like, hey, like I asked their dad, I was like, hey, do you want me to come around and like teach you guys like some stuff and hang out? And he's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So every once in a while, whenever they're free, we go skate, and I'll try to teach them, royales and soul grinds and things like that. And
Nice.
these girls are picking it up really quick, and they really love it seems, so yeah, I'm really proud of them. They're young still, so they got a lot of future ahead of them. So
That's cool. It's like we all say the same. We all say that we need kids. But
absolutely, yeah.
What are we doing for it? It's like,
yeah, we keep talking about it, and it's just like, really it's just a matter of going out and doing it.
Doing it, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. Whether it's your, nephew or niece or whoever, and just say, hey, you guys want to go skate, and like just teach them.
yeah, like there was someone that I really respect from my hometown here. Someone that has a lot of influence in the whole town, whatever. He keeps on telling me, like, you need to find a day, one day, that is just keep on telling people it's Sunday. Like on Sundays from 4 to 5 p.m., I'm going to be at the promenade right by the beach. Whoever wants to skate, I'm there. And that's what he keeps on telling me, you need to do that. It's like you probably start with one kid every now and then that is never the same. And if you keep on doing, probably 1 year later, you have like all kids in town.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I haven't found the time to do it, but I've been trying to do something here with the space locally.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been trying to do more stuff like online, because it's just hard to kind of like the stuff with family and try to do family and
Right.
follow passions and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's something that I really want to do, because I think I just like myself know that we need kids.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All good. I think we're coming to an end. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about? Tell us about your experience here, where you are. Like basically, so
Yeah.
this is about this thing that we're doing now.
Yeah.
I was telling you kind of yesterday when I said I would like to do this with you. So basically the way that I feel about podcasts, like a couple of years ago, I used to do it mainly like via Skype and try to like make the calls, and it was mainly audio at first.
Yeah.
And then it kind of felt like when the guys from Jump Street started doing their thing, it was just, I really thought it was like, that's so good. I don't even feel like I should be doing what I was doing before, because I think they're just covering these things so good that for me it wasn't making sense. If we didn't have that many personalities for us to try to, they were just doing a good job, period.
Yeah. Right.
So I kind of felt like it wouldn't make sense for me to keep doing that. There would be so many other things. But now it kind of felt like through the pandemic, everyone started doing more and more that type of interview, and now with us having the shed here, the place where people can come and stay.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I wanted to do more of this stuff, like have people like you,
definitely.
like people coming around. And that's why I'm asking you, like, how has it been your experience here? Like,
Yeah, so I definitely recommend the shed. I recommend you all come visit the shed and book a spot while you can, because my experience has been pleasant. The town is very special. It's nice. It's peaceful. Safe, and I've just been hanging out. You've been a great teacher, so that's been awesome.
Come on, I'm not. Yeah. You did got a good one.
Yeah.
But not. That's not the thing. It's like
I think that there's a value here, right? So anybody wanting to have a little trip to visit and stay in the shed, it's a nice place. The skate park's amazing here. The things you've done with the place is very awesome. But I think the value is just being able to meet you and pick your brain about skating. And I think that anybody who loves skating and wants to learn,
there's one thing that you haven't. There's one thing that you haven't done yet.
Is that right? What's that?
So basically, this is something that we've been trying to do here.
Okay.
I wanna. So I didn't show you yet, but basically, I get a lot of products for these reviews and all this stuff. And we want to make like a test station. So basically, the whole idea is that, imagine, is there any frame you want to test? It's there.
Yeah.
So you can just put it on your skates or anything that you want to tie.
I've been wanting to try Kareem's frames, that's for sure.
Yeah, I got it there.
Yeah, I saw them over there. I was like,
yeah, so it's cool. But don't, like, whatever you want to try, let me know. It's like that's why they're there. It's like there's all these things.
I also wanted to try like the right quad setup, just like get the grind plates,
there's a couple different ones,
right? So yeah.
There's a couple different ones. So that the whole idea is that I was asking you basically because I would like to hear your opinion about it, not just the park, but like as experience, like being able to stay here, and because I know it's a small town, especially for people that has been living in bigger places, also much more expensive places. How would it be to be in such a small place? So
I think if you're looking to train, this would be the perfect spot for it. True.
Don't come for party. It's not that much of a party place.
No, not at all. It's a very relaxing space. Anybody that just you wanted to come learn some stuff and then relax, like this is the perfect place for it. So that's how I feel about it anyway.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Good. We'll make a barbecue tomorrow.
Hey.
Oh, good.
I've just been mostly eating pastel de nata anyway. So
we're not going to tell you what the pastel de nata is. Thank you so much, Preston.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm happy that you came around, and I'm happy that we were able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, man.
Awesome. Thank you. Don't forget why we all started skating. You know why? Because it's fun.
Because it's fun, man. Take it easy.